Gretchen Men, and I'm with Acoustic Guitar here to talk to you today about seventh chords. So a common problem for a lot of guitar players is that numbers that follow a chord immediately make you want to run away. So I think if we demystify it a little bit, it will help you understand what that number means and then how to actually build the chords. So for example, if you see a 7 following a chord, it means that the interval of a seventh is to be added to the chord. So if you see an F with a 7, it means you have an F, major or minor, as the case may be, with an added seventh. So let's go through with some examples and we'll look at how these are built. So the most common types of seventh chords you're going to see are dominant, major, minor, diminished, and half diminished. For our purposes today, we're going to focus on all of those except for the fully diminished, and that's because it's a chord not related to the major scale. So let's first review our major triads. We're going to start with F major. If you did the lesson in triads, these will all be familiar, but it's good to review. So there's F major. There's F major with the new voicing. We have the third on top. Still have the third on top, but revoiced. And then the pattern repeats. So that chord and that chord, those voicings are the same. In example 2, we're going to review the minor chords. So there's F minor, which you can notice is only different from F major by one note, the third. If you've done the lesson in triads, this will all be familiar. But so there's your F minor. If you wanted to make it F major, you just move that third up a half step. F major, F minor. So there's F minor. There's F minor with the third on top. Here's another voicing of F minor. Another. In example 3, we're going to look at how to make dominant seventh chords. The difference between a major chord and a dominant seventh is just that the seventh, a minor seventh, is added to the chord. So the way to figure that out is either to count up a minor seventh from the root note. I find it easier just to count down a major second. So if your root is F, you count down a half step would be E, and a whole step would be E flat. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at these major voicings and then figuring out how to turn them, how to add an E flat to them. We're not going to have as many voicings because some of the fingerings just aren't practical, or some of the notes. In each of these we have a 4-note chord, meaning that one of the scale degrees is doubled, or one of the chord tones is doubled. So either F, A, or C. And some of them you'll notice if you were to go through them yourself and try to construct them that some of them don't fall into your fingers or allow for a complete chord. So we're only going to be looking at complete chords here. So for example 3, what we're looking at, there's our F major. Now we're looking for an E flat. So, well, that's not going to give us an E flat because the open string is E. Same with C. I mean, I guess we could do it up here, but then we're going to be missing our fifth. So the most likely candidate is this F here. Just move down a whole step, and there's your F7. In example 4, we're going to be doing the same thing. So we go to our next F major chord, and now we're going to look at, okay, which note do we want to move down? Well, this one moving to there, I don't think anybody's going to play that. So let's move this F down to here. And now we have this F7 that derives from that shape. In example 5, we're going to be doing the same thing. So in this case, we're going to be looking at, we want this E flat right here. So we're going to refinger this chord, moving this C, because we have C doubled. C is here and C is here. So we can move this C up to this, and now we have this voicing. I find this one very comfortable. So for example 6, we're going to take this voicing of the F major, again looking for what's our most likely candidate to move to an E flat, and it's going to be our top note here. And then you have your F dominant 7. One more voicing we can look at that may not be playable if you're playing with without a cutaway, but just so you know it, because as you move these chords to different places on the neck, different ones will be more playable. So here's our F major that's the same as here. And though here we did this, here we also have the option to play it like that. Now we're going to move on to creating major seventh chords. Like we did with the dominant seventh, we're going to be adding a seventh above the chord in question. So rather than adding a minor seventh, we're going to be adding a major seventh. So if we're looking at F major chords, that means that our major seventh is just a half step down from our tonic. So we have E as opposed to E flat. So we'll go through the same approach as we did previously. So we have our F major chord. We're going to be moving one of the Fs, in this case this one, down to here. We actually could also do with the open string. So there's our first F major 7. Now we'll move up to our next F major chord. Look for the most likely candidate to move to an E, this one here. Now we have our F major 7. The next voicing. So we're looking for an E. We can't lift this finger because then we lose our root. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take one of the doubled C's here and we're going to move it to this E. So it's a little bit of refingering. And there's your chord. For the last one, we have, or I should say the second to the last one because there's one more I'll show you. We have F major here. Our F moves down to E for F major 7. And now this is the same shape you can see as that, just an octave higher. And this is one where we can actually really remember this voicing because it does involve a fretted note. Anytime there's an open string, it's handy to know that it's there, but then it doesn't make for a movable chord form unless you actually see it an octave higher. So for our last series of seventh chords, we're going to be looking at minor sevenths. So the way we construct these is we're going to take our minor triad and then we're going to add a minor seventh. So we'll start with F minor. We know the minor seventh already because we determined it from the dominant chord, so we're just looking for E flats here. And there's your minor seventh. Then we'll go up to the next chord voicing. There's your minor, so we're looking again for an E flat. You can find it right there. Here's another minor form. Again, looking for an E flat. So we move that C up to E flat. So again, here, this is one that's going to look quite a bit different because we're actually changing that top note. Again, we have C repeated. We're going to use that E flat there. And now we're here, again an octave above here, but now we're going to add a fretted note so that it'll be a movable chord form. So what we did is we took, and instead of moving this down to an E flat, which of course we could still do, we're going to move this top note down to an E flat. And there are your minor seventh chords. So the idea here is to help you feel less intimidated by building chords yourself. And with a little bit of understanding of how these chords are built, you'll be able to look at a jazz book, look at different types of music, and actually, even if you don't know the chord voicing right away, you'll be able to derive something that will be consistent with the music that you're trying to play, but with using the knowledge that you've developed here.